I don't know if you think about it. Think about it in your own lives. Have you guys ever felt like when you're, in a sense, you feel like your relationship with Rabbana, you're not actually actively pursuing that relationship, and you feel like you're a bit more fiery and a bit more like short-tempered and a bit annoying to kind of deal with and whatever, right? And then when you, after the Lent, or when we like develop our spiritual treasure chest during the Lent time, and we kind of work on those virtues, then you kind of meet the same, you could be meet to the same sort of resistance, or the same, someone can cut you off again, right? But it will kind of be a different response from you. Have you guys felt that? Sometimes your response is different based on your relationship with Rabbana, or based on how actively you are pursuing that relationship. Yeah, it's a direct correlation. So sometimes I figure out, or I learn about how I'm feeling inside, or what my positioning is with Rabbana when I see my reactions to things. So if I feel like I'm quick-tempered, or if I feel like I'm just being frustrated too easily, etc., then I check myself and I'm like, okay, where do I stand with Rabbana, and am I okay or not? Okay. Almost done. Verse 20 to 24, please. Any questions, by the way? Just jump in if you have questions. Yes, Carol.
It's more of a comment.
Yes.
About by your patience possesses your souls. I feel like in that example that you just gave, there's other things that affect my patience. Like if I haven't slept, if I've eaten sugar, just certain things that I know I'm gonna be triggered easier.
Yep.
And I think that even though I think these are still things that we need to consider, because patience possesses my soul, and if I've lost my patience, my soul's in danger, because obviously I'll be reckless and probably slapping heads and stuff. So I don't know, Abuna Dan said it once in a talk about sleep, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it really does. And
I'm much more short-tempered if I don't get enough sleep.
And I think that anything that affects our patience, or our in being able to endure or long suffer or accept is worth examining, even physical things, not just where we sit with God.
100%. I think again those are our two mites, right? So like whatever we have, like let's say I need 9 hours of sleep, right? If I don't have 9 hours, it's big dramas, but the person next to me can like last on 6. Again, that's the two mites. Whatever you can offer to Rabbana, offer. Yeah, like I'm not, forgive me, I didn't mean like relationship with Rabbana to the exclusion of everything else, but I just meant in tandem with. Okay, any other questions? Yep, okay. Yes, 20 to 24, please. Who's next? Yeah, go ahead.
Why are we so concerned about the judge, like the end, the second coming, when most of us won't be alive? Like it's been 2,000 years, hasn't happened. Why is the whole Bible, Revelation, and Jesus talking about the end when most of us will never see it?
Good question. How did we begin this chapter? We talked about the widow with 2 mites. That was the beginning of the chapter. That's what Rabbana began the chapter with. Well, that's how the church is kind of put in place. Why? Because we need to check our 2 mites. It's all well and good if the earth gets destroyed in 50,000 years and we're not there for it. But what about my own life? What do I have to show for my last day? If Rabbana took us today, I want everyone to think for a moment, if Rabbana took us today, what would we have to show for it? What could we offer to him? What had we offered to him? Because sometimes I find myself like thinking about it and I'm like, in a sense, if I knew this was my last day, I probably wouldn't have done the same thing or acted in the same way or responded in the same way. So why did I respond like that? Does that make sense? Sometimes being aware of my end is enough. Yeah? And I can extrapolate all of this onto my end, and that's why the church fathers have talked about that. So the earthquakes and pestilences, it's about me inside too, the unity that I have within myself. Does that make sense? So yes, it's all well and good to be outside, and it's really important that Rabbana has given us the knowledge, in a sense, as he had wanted to, about things that are going to happen to brace us. Yes, amazing. But what about ourselves? Yeah, always try to relate to yourself. Again, if you're not relating to yourself, what are we doing here? Yeah, when you sit and hear a sermon, what does that mean for you? When you sit and in a liturgy, what does it mean for you? It's meant to be the work of the people, liturgy, work of the people. It needs to be us working. Work out your salvation. Yeah? Is that okay? Cool. Any other questions? No? Okay. Yep, 20 to 24. Whoever has... Go ahead.
But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that his desolation is near. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains, let those who are in the midst of her depart, and let not those who are in the country enter her. For these are the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days, for there will be great distress in the land and wrath upon this people. And they will fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled.
Okay. I should have prefaced at the beginning. In a sense, I struggle with when Roberta talks about end of times, and I did before I kind of looked into it, because I was like, yeah, but I don't really mind. Or I don't feel the pull towards figuring out what that necessarily means. Yeah, because how does that apply to me? I feel like I'm in a sense separate from it. And so that's kind of why we're talking about this and why church fathers have related it to themselves, etc. And why we should do the same. Okay, really beautiful. Abu Rathadro says, we cannot be blessed with Jerusalem above, proclaimed in our hearts, until the old Jerusalem in us is besieged. Again, sometimes we've made this temple for Rabbana. It could be in our hearts, boxes for Rabbana, whatever it is. Yeah, unless that box is gotten rid of. I don't think that's proper English. Unless that's destroyed, New Jerusalem we can't enter, right? Because again, only two places: a throne and a cross. If you sit on the throne, he gets crucified. If you crucify your ego, he sits on the throne. Only two options. Okay, and every choice is placing myself either on a throne or a cross, placing my ego on a throne or a cross. I choose that. Yeah. Okay. And in a sense, again, this is about the difference between the letter and the spirit. Sorry, I'm nearly done. The letter versus the spirit, right? The letter of the law is the old Jerusalem in a sense, the Old Testament, how we're bound by I don't know how many commandments they had, right? If they were at fault of any one of the commandments, they were technically at fault from all of them. So they wouldn't be saved. Yes? But Christ came to fulfill and take us with him. Okay? So now it's no longer about the letter of the law, but rather the spirit. Okay. And then I always thought this was weird. The woe to those who are nursing, who are pregnant, and to those who are nursing babies in those days. What that means, what the church fathers contemplate and say that means is not necessarily a pregnant with a baby, like a physical, but rather fruits. What fruits do you have to show? Yeah. So if someone's pregnant, their fruit hasn't yet come, like hasn't yet blossomed in a sense, right? So we need to be careful. Where are our fruits? Where are our fruits? Yeah, spiritual fruits. Okay. Okay. 25 and 26, please.
And there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's heart failing them from fear and the exceptions of those things which are coming on the earth, for the power of the heaven will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory.
Thank you, pause. Thank you. Okay, so signs in the sun, in the moon, in the stars, and on earth distress of nations, perplexity, sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them from fear and the expectation of those things which are coming on the earth. The powers of the heaven will be shaken. So there was a lot of contemplation about this, about the sun being like Christ and the moon being the church, and etc. We're gonna go to the end part, which I thought was, I kind of thought was cool. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. When it says that there will be joy in heaven over one sinner who repents, yeah. The previous verses are talking about the destruction of Jerusalem, about the people turning away from Rabbana. In that, the heavens are shaken. So there's joy in heaven over one repentant sinner. Yeah? How much shakenness, I can't English. How much shaking would happen in heaven, basically, for people falling away from Rabbana. Yeah? That was the part that I kind of just gravitated towards. So if there's just let me know if you want to go through the other parts. Like later, I will let you know. Okay, 27 and 28. After this, 3 more sections and we're done.
And they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to happen, look up and lift your heads, because your redemption draws near.
Okay, so a beautiful thing about this is that when Rabbana comes in our lives, yeah, the joy of him coming in our lives, filling us up, will, in a sense, rid us of all the hurt and the pain that we had previously experienced. So all of this destruction, all of these earthquakes, pestilences, famines, all of that, right? That's all devastating. That's all really, really bad. But when Rabbana comes, there will be joy. In a sense, my thoughts kind of went to if there's a mum who's pregnant and she gives birth, obviously it's painful, and then the baby comes and then it's just joy. Yeah, that kind of thing. I think that's what I'm receiving from that. Yeah. Questions? Comments? Anything anyone wants to say? Okay. Oh yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just a question about, is this also about the last day?
Mm-hmm.
Literally?
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't read enough church fathers talking about whether or not it's like literal, like it's literally going to be these. I don't think I can comment on it because I haven't read enough about it. Because there are some texts or some books in the Bible that are written to be literally taken literally. Other ones are written, again, check me guys, see if this is correct or not. But there's others that are written as poetry, for example, songs of songs. There are others that are written for instruction, like the Wisdom of Sirach, for example. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
each book was written for a purpose.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this necessarily, like if it was actually like quoted from God's mouth, then I believe it would be true. I don't know.
Because it says when they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now, when these things begin to happen, like it's almost like he's telling us to do that.
Yeah.
Like when it happens, to look up, like to lift our heads.
Yeah. So I'm not sure whether or not it's real, like he's going to come in, like I think so. That's what I've heard and read. But let's apply that to us. Yeah. So when he comes in my life, right? Am I going to be able to look up, lift my head because of redemption? Am I going to be able to look at him with joy that he's coming, or am I going to be scared because I don't think I've lived a good life or whatever it is? Yeah. Like I need to look at myself in this. Yep. Again, that's just my way of kind of understanding. So research if you like. I can point you to a specific direction if you like. Yeah, that's kind of the way that I gravitate towards. Okay. 29 to 33, please. 3 more sections. 2 more after this one.
Then he spoke to them in a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. When they are already budding, you see and know for yourselves that summer is now near. So you also, when you see the things happening, know that the kingdom of God is near. Assuredly, I say to you, this generation will by no means pass away until these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will by no means pass away.
Okay. When they are already budding, you see and know for yourselves that summer is now near. So when Tados Malati talks about the fruits, we were talking about fruits previously, he talks about fruit being actually the falling of the world from our hearts, where the world no longer has a place. Yeah? Yeah. And then the generations. So it's not necessarily like a generation is, I don't know approximately how many years, I'm not sure. But generations talking about like from Adam to Noah, from Noah to Moses, from Moses to, Noah to David, and then David to Christ. that type of idea of generation. So in a sense, big blocks of time. Yeah. So he's not talking about just one generation. He's talking about more. You know, the idea of to God 1,000 years is a day 1,000 years. That kind of concept. So his timing is a little bit different to our time. Okay. Any questions with that? Last two sections, 34 to 36, please.
But take heed to yourselves, lest your hearts be weighed down by carousing, drunkenness, and cares of this life, and that day come on you unexpectedly. For it will come as a snare on those who dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch therefore and pray always that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man.
Okay. Beautiful imagery of being able to stand before Rabbana. You know, when we come to church, we do mataniyats, right? Yeah. In a sense, we're worshiping, we're prostrating before Him. When I can have the joy and I can feel His love enough to be able to stand in front of Him, like I kind of imagine what I would do. I kind of imagine what I would do if God gives me the grace, gives me that blessing, and I'm able to stand before Him. Will I be able to stand? What would it be? What would it be like? What would His throne room be like? What would it, you know? Sometimes you just, I don't know, sometimes think about it. Basically, purpose of all of these signs that He said so far is for us to remain watchful. Akhir kalam, be watchful, okay? One thing that Abu Nafal said, it's in his movie, I don't know if he's actually said it, but he was talking about, his conversion father, I think, was talking to him, and he was saying, like, if you look at your feet, there's no roots into the ground. We're not meant for this world, yeah? Take heed to yourselves, remain watchful. Okay, last part, 37 to 38, please. Okay, go back to 37 for me, please. Possible? Yeah. In the daytime, He was teaching in the temple, and at night, He went out and stayed on the mountain. In a sense, Rabbina sanctifies what we do by what He's done. So He sanctified our fasting because He fasted, sanctified our watchfulness because He was watchful, sanctified our prayer because He prayed. Yeah? In a sense, teaching us, being an example, and also sanctifying those things. And the beautiful thing is that He gave purpose to suffering. He sanctified that suffering in the same way. His suffering sanctifies our suffering. So suffering is for a purpose. I think before Christ, people would suffer and there would be no point in the suffering. But now there's a point. There's a reason and there's a goal. Any questions? I apologize for taking too long. Glory be to God.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions for Youstina? This is a final chance to ask a question. Oh, Mario has a question.
Alright, it's a long question. Okay. So I wanted to ask, you know how you said you change what you do if it was actually your last day of life, but does that mean how far do you look into the future then? If you want, for example, like save up or do something in the future, how far do you look into the future then?
Yeah, really, really important question. So I think, you know, when it talks about, it's talking about where the counting the cost before you start. That idea of like when someone is going to build a house, or if someone is going to lay siege to another kingdom or whatever, you obviously count the cost. You count what it's going to, the expenditure that it's going to take you, right? There's a difference, I think, between, and I need to learn this, there's a difference between like watchfulness in the sense of like being aware of the times to come and trying to prepare as much as possible, right? But not letting that take your peace away, like taking away your peace now. Like I can be totally devoted and eyes on Rabbina completely, and also brace for the future. That doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. That can happen together. Yeah. Sometimes I find that I isolate it. I say like, okay, I'm like scared because I don't have enough money to buy a house because Sydney is ridiculous, right? So it's like, okay, looking at that, I can just isolate that and only solely focus on that, or I can focus on open His grace, right? But it doesn't have to be simple. To focus on His grace in the blessing He will provide in the future, if He gives me a future on earth, and if not, then yeah, what do I have to show for life now? Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Youstina. I appreciate it. For tonight, we have a couple of announcements. So I'll try to be very quick with the announcements. So just listen up because they're very important, I think. So the first one is in a couple of weeks on a Friday night, instead of a youth meeting, we're going to have a special event here at church. And this special event is a family feud. So it's going to be a game inside the church, there'll be competition, there'll be prizes that are to be won, and it's going to be on a Friday night starting at 8 p.m. sharp. And it's the first Friday back after Easter, so it'll be in the Holy 50s, so the food will be pretty solid, yeah? 29th of April. So it'll be the 29th of April, first Friday after Easter. It's a family feud. At 8 p.m. sharp, so please show up on time so we can actually get the night started straight away. And there'll be a couple of teams, so speak to your friends, get organised. There should be a link sent on the group chat very soon where you can register. You don't have to register, you can just show up on the day as well. It'll be pretty good fun. So if you're not on the youth chat, please see Andrew, who's in the red shirt. If Andrew could put his hand up, or any other youth servants, and that should add you to the chat. So that's the first announcement. So special Friday night youth. There won't be a talk that night, but it'll be a game. And then the next announcement is next 2 Mondays are off, so there won't be Bible study on the next 2 Mondays. However, next Monday, because it's Holy Week or Passion Week or Bascha Week, there will be Bascha here at church, so that's at 6:30, so you guys are more than welcome to join us. But Passion Week starts on Sunday, so next 2 Mondays are off, yeah, that's what it is. On Tuesday of Holy Week, so next Tuesday, there will be a church cleanup day. So at 12 o'clock, roughly, after the service, I think a lot of people are going to be cleaning. So if you guys want to come and join, that would be nice. Yeah, once again, if you're not on the youth chat, there's announcements for Bible study, whatever's happening. Just see anyone that can add you. Everyone's more than welcome to join. Also, ski trip. Ski trip's going to be from the 5th to the 8th of August. Sorry, one second. Ski trip's going to be from the 5th to the 8th of August, so if you guys want to come, the list is getting pretty full. So if you guys want to come, either you'll be put on the waiting list or you'd be allocated. I'm not too sure how it's going to work yet. Just because of accommodation, we're only taking at the moment females because of the rooms split. Obviously, you can't have the mix. So if you guys want to come, please let us know. And then if you guys want to come, you'll be put on the waiting list until someone backs out for now. Due to accommodation and transport, it's very hard to increase accommodation numbers. So we're trying our hardest, but we'll see. Thank you, Chris. Good question. Okay, and then the final announcement is on this Saturday. This Saturday, the 16th of April, there will be a youth nunnery day. So there will be a link sent on the group chat, I assume, of St. Paul's Youth. So if you guys also are not on the chat, you need to be added so you can see all this stuff, where you can ask for transport if you want to come on that day. And it needs to be filled out by Wednesday, the 13th of April, which is this Wednesday. And there will be a bus leaving from church at 8 a.m. and returning around 3 to 4 p.m. Does anyone have any questions? Yep. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else want to add anything or have any questions? All good? All right. If we can please stand up for prayer. Thank you.